Okay, we are now live streaming. Thank you so much for bearing with me. It's always a bit of it's a thing when we're trying to get it right and we're trying to connect between two platforms. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, everybody. I'm Trish Tucker-May. I'm a qualified nutritionist, gut specialist, and I help women over the age of 40 to heal their gut and balance their hormones. So if you're struggling with digestive issues and you have hormonal havoc and you're over the age of 40, I really encourage you to sit back and enjoy me presenting and encouraging and inspiring you to take time to nourish, to take the time to nourish yourself in a very, very different way. Now, I've got a few letters after my name. I am a qualified nutritionist. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, so I do a lot of tests so I combine science and nutrition to support lifestyle changes. I'm a health coach. I am a mum, probably the three most important letters after my name, M-U-M. I'm menopausal. I'm 53 years old, out the other side of menopause, and I've got two young boys. So I did things back to front. I've got a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, and now I live in Hampton here in the UK. And prior to that, I was traveling the world, keeping people healthy at festivals and events for 20 years, running a mobile juice business in Australia and in the UK. I've always been really passionate about food and juicing and healthy food. But, I wasn't always well. At the age of 32, I had a massive health transformation. Prior to that, I had very bad shingles, allergies, asthma, Ross River fever. I was really quite unwell for a very, very long time. I was born in with respiratory challenges. I was heavily reliant on a lot of medications. And when I peaked at 12 anaphylactic episodes in 1 year, I realized that I needed to get some help. And I found my way intuitively to a nutritionist who worked with me for 6 weeks. And I went in with a box full of medication, and I was so heavily reliant on all of this medication. And 6 weeks later, I'm so happy to say that I've been medication free for 20 years. Now, I have not experienced food addiction. I have experienced alcohol and drug addiction. And I have completely transformed my life from really heavily relying on recreational drugs and alcohol as a young adult to sort of give myself the feeling that I wasn't able to get through my own health. So I have a real empathy with you if you're struggling with sabotaging yourself with either negative self-talk and or making poor choices when it comes to food. And sometimes that can be driven by an interesting root cause. Sometimes there could be childhood trauma, something that I experienced. I had a physical trauma with a couple of serious accidents in my life. I copied habits of my parents, my dad particularly. I didn't really associate him with being an alcoholic, but he drank every day. Certainly in my family, both my mum and my dad's side, there was alcoholics who had died from the disease. And I copied those habits. I thought that it was quite normal to drink every day. And of course it isn't. And so, how that played out with me with a level of toxicity, trying to draw in nourishment. And now this is what I teach. I take the time to nourish in a very different way. And I encourage my clients to do that, to really stop and take time and fuel your body in a very, very different way. So that shows up very differently for your hormones and for your gut health. Because ladies, especially when we get to over the age of 40, if we haven't done this work, it does catch up with us. And we want our menopause, our perimenopausal journey to be as smooth as possible. So we want to take this time to get to the bottom of habits that don't serve us and implement some easy strategies to support your body in a different way. So that's what we'll talk about today. We'll talk about hormones, we'll talk about stress, we talk about the body whispering a long time before it starts to shout. My body was shouting at the age of 32. It was no longer whispering. It was, shingles, daily headaches, asthma, allergies, And I would never have put the connection between my respiratory challenges and my asthma and my allergies down to poor gut health. I had candida, I had an overgrowth of parasites, I had a hookworm. All of those were driving me crazy. They were making me crave certain foods and certain substances that were not good for me. They weren't serving me. And when I got to the root cause of what was driving that inherent weakness in the gut, I was able to make a massive health transformation. So that's why I share that story with you, because that's what I help women do, is to get to the root cause of what's going on in the gut, what's going on in the hormones that could be driving the self-sabotage and the reaching for the food that's not serving us. There is always maybe one, maybe many root causes. And that's what I help you do, is to identify what the root cause is, address the root cause, and then we can really start to nourish ourselves very differently. So let me share my screen, because I've got a few things that I'd like to share with you, some simple ideas that might make a world of difference for your body. So let me share my screen, because I've got a few things that I'd like to share with you, some simple ideas that might make a world of difference for you. Okay. Oops, where have we gone now? Right, here we go. Okay, as I said, I've shared with you a little bit about my story, and since becoming a nutritionist, since my groundbreaking transformation, I went and studied nutrition after the birth of my second son. Now, since then, I have been awarded a few awards. I got awarded UK Nutritionist of the Year in 2019, and in 2020, my gut healing hormone balancing program won a gold medal in the Janie Loves Industry Awards. So, you know, I get a lot of really good results from my clients. I'm really dedicated to helping to discover why there is a buildup of toxicity and what's been driving that. And then we make lifestyle and nutrition and supplement changes to improve the digestive function and balance the hormones. So I really encourage you to have a think about your symptoms and your body's feelings. Like, what are you feeling? Is your body whispering or shouting? You know, we need to have good gut health and balanced hormones in order to feel good and to sleep well and to feel good about ourselves. When we have stress in the body, we have the release of cortisol. Cortisol also plays havoc with our blood sugars. And when we have that release of cortisol, we will also have the release of insulin, and that will play havoc with the blood sugar, and that will have a knock-on effect with cravings and sleep. So I use a range of natural remedies, essential oils and supplements, and diet and lifestyle changes to bring balance back to the hormones and to nourish the gut, so that gut-brain connection that is so vital to us feeling good about ourselves has a chance to repair. I really encourage you to eat well for your hormones, and I will show you what that looks like. And have a think about some of the foods that you really, in an ideal world, you should be avoiding if you're nourishing well. Now, some of the obvious culprits are refined wheat, refined sugar, alcohol, caffeine, and dairy. They are the ones that are the inflammatory foods that cause havoc in our body. So if we are relying on those foods to fuel our body, then we are not able to experience the benefit of clear brain function, healthy digestion, and a healthy weight. And it all starts in the gut. You know, the gut is the foundation. The gut is the ringmaster to how well we feel, how well we sleep, and how energized we are. I would love for you to pop some questions in the group chat so I can come back to those later today or tomorrow. I'm here to support you. So why focus on food? You know, if we are not nourishing ourselves well, we are going to be feeling exhausted, tired all the time. be feeling bloated, have low energy, low stamina. We may be very close to burnout. Of course, we'll be experiencing weight gain, maybe hidden food allergies, maybe anxiety, depression, irritability, sensitivity. And of course, the obvious symptoms like belly bloat, IBS, or constipation is what I see a lot of. And low sex drive. We don't feel good about ourselves. So when we nourish ourselves differently, we can experience better energy, better sleep, a more sustainable, healthy weight. No food sensitivities, no allergies. You know, I don't have allergies and asthma anymore when I worked on healing my gut. I have steady mood, a joyous mood, buoyant mood, feeling good and happy. And I have good digestion, you know, no constipation, no sense of urgency, no worrying about, oh, can I go out because you know, what am I going to eat and where am I going to go to the loo? And you know, a reasonably healthy sex drive. I think as a menopausal mum of 2 young boys, that's still a work in progress. Okay, so we you know, when we have good nutrition, we have really good energy, we sleep well, and we will lose weight. So what is your body saying to you? Is your body whispering or shouting? Have a look at some of these shouts, you know, the headaches, joint pain, brain fog, trouble breathing, dry eyes. You know, I've just finished the intake of a whole range of ladies going through the 8-week program, and 4 of them at the end were so surprised that they no longer have dry eyes because they're nourishing differently. And I saw belly, foggy mind, that constant tiredness, that irritation to the skin, bloating, constant cough, constant needing to clear the throat. Maybe thyroid dysfunction when you're feeling stressed and shaky all the time. Maybe things like aches and pains or frozen shoulder. These are all signs of inflammation. These are all signs that we really need to nourish our body very differently. So where do you start? I really encourage you to, firstly, maybe have the accountability and record what you are eating. How well are you sleeping? How many times do you wake up at night? Are you taking medication to help you sleep? How reliant are you on caffeine and alcohol? How do you feel after exercise? You know, really tap into the feelings, because we want to feel happy, joyful, clear-headed, energized, purposeful. And when we're eating the wrong foods, we're associating a lot of emotion around that food. And then we eat that food, and maybe we're sabotaging, we're eating too much of that food, and it's not giving us that feeling. So when we're tuning into how we want to feel, so we want to feel happy and joyful, and we want to feel energized, and we want to feel purposeful, what do we need to do today to move us closer to that feeling? And often it's not food. Because in order of importance, what do we need more of? Air, water, or food? Now, I ask you, how long can you go without air? 3 minutes? If that, try holding your breath for 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute. How long can we go without water? You know, we'd be in trouble if we haven't had water for 3 days. But how long can we go without food? A couple of weeks, maybe 40 days, maybe 60 days. So where are we placing the importance? We're placing the importance so much on food, and we're battling big companies that are associating so much emotion around food. Advertising all day long, being bombarded with messages that associate chocolate with luxury, alcohol with friendship, crisps with having a good time. And these companies are spending millions on perfect mouth feel, perfect amount of salt, sugar, fat that hits the pleasure center, that gives us that feeling of what we need, whether it's comfort, love, support, connection. Yet it's lying to us and it's not giving us any of those things. So tuning in and thinking about, what do you want to feel? Then how can you get that feeling with something other than food? And we always start with air, which is what we need the most of, and hydration, water, which is what we need most of, second most important thing that we need. So we always come back to that and take a moment during the day, maybe every 2 hours, set yourself an alarm on the phone. How do you want to feel? Okay. So if you want to feel joyful and happy and vibrant and nourished, what do you need to do right now to get that feeling? And that is not about food. It's about air, hydration, connection, love. And when we have those things, then we begin to nourish very differently. And then we begin to unlock that self-sabotaging habit of, okay, I get to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I haven't had a break, I'm feeling really exhausted, I need to have a break, yet all I want to do is eat all the chocolate in the cupboard. So get curious. This is where we start. We get curious on the feeling that we want and what we're going to do every single day to move us closer to that feeling. And that is the essence of what I teach in the program, is that it's not necessarily always about food. So we start with nourishing and we cleanse. We start with adding in really good foods. We start with adding in a variety and a diversity of vegetables, lots of different colors, drink a rainbow and eat a rainbow. We start with supporting our body differently and cleansing, hydration, deep breath work, gentle movement, supporting the lymphatic system. You know, the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart. It needs that gentle muscle contraction to be supported, to support that main route of elimination. And then we slowly repair and we restore, we rest and relax. We are able to then reconnect with energy and purpose. And we can fast track all of this stage with anchoring with essential oils, lifestyle and dietary nutritional changes. So this is what I teach in my program. We spend a lot of time nourishing, then cleansing, then restoring and repairing, to reconnect and rebalance, to realign our lives. So in these 7 columns, in these 7 pillars of nourishing, we really start to unlock our true potential, and we start to get to grips with, how do we move closer to that feeling every day? And how do we get there without it being about food? You can balance your hormones with the foods that you eat. Our body needs fat and protein. They are the foundations. They are the building blocks to good, healthy gut and hormones. So if fat and protein is the building blocks, then how can we get more fat and protein at every meal? So we can start with maybe a green smoothie that has some avocado and some leafy greens and some good seeds. We start with veggies and fish in a pan for breakfast rather than toast and cereal, which is going to spike our blood sugar. We start with a range of beautiful vegetables, whether it's in a smoothie or a juice or a salad or a broth, or veggies in a pan for breakfast. And we think about, have I got enough fat and protein at every meal? This is what our brain needs. This is what our hormones need. This is what our gut needs. This is what our blood sugar balance needs. This is what our thyroid needs, is fat and protein. Our body needs deep rest. Our body needs good sleep. Our body needs gentle movement. So when we are not nurturing and nourishing these aspects of our life, and we find ourselves reaching for the wrong foods, often we can think, okay, how can I get better sleep? How can I reduce my stress? How can I gently move my body? So when we get to that trigger time of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when we're feeling exhausted and we want to eat every crisp or every biscuit or every chocolate in the cupboard, we think about, okay, what does my body really need right now? Maybe it needs a glass of water. Maybe it needs some fresh air. Maybe it needs a connection with a girlfriend. Maybe it needs a walk outside. Something other than food is how we nourish. So getting into the habit of checking in instead of thinking, okay, I'm hungry. Maybe I'm really thirsty. And how do you know when you're hungry? You know, when your brain is telling you you're hungry, your brain is lying, and your brain makes up stories all the time. We have a monkey mind. It's chitty chatter all day long. It's making up stories. It's what we do as human beings. So for many years, you may have made up all these stories around the food, around the chocolate, around the crisps, around the biscuits, and you've made them mean so much. For me, it was around alcohol, where I made up all these stories that it meant that I was sophisticated and I was successful and I really deserved it and I needed a break and that was the only way I could relax. And that was all nonsense. And it was once I really started to tune in with how I feel, what do I really need, and replacing those things with adequate sleep, taking time out, getting some rest, gently moving my body, adding in lots of water, and asking myself, okay, if I want to feel connection, what do I need to do now to move me closer to that feeling of connection? And alcohol was never the answer, but I made it the answer for a long, long time, that I felt, oh yeah, connected to friends because we're out having a glass of wine, or, you know, I feel connected with my husband because I'm sitting down having a glass of wine with him. Well, no, it's actually disconnecting. It's numbing. It's playing havoc with my hormones. It's disrupting my sleep, and it's making me put on weight, and it's destroying my gut health. That's the truth. So always try and seek that truth. You know it deep in your heart, because you know that that little voice that wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, that beats yourself up over the habits that you've created over many years, is true. And you will know deep in your heart that the one or two things, the little things that you need to change in order to get you closer to being nourished, to get closer to that connection. Now, stress does some pretty intense things to the body. So when we have cortisol kicking off, ladies, this is a really modern day phenomenon, particularly for us ladies who are trying to run businesses and have aging parents and young children and being all things to all people. But when we have cortisol kicking off, we have an impact on our blood sugar. That impacts the insulin. The insulin is the fat storing hormone. So if we're struggling with our weight and we're grazing all day long and we're stressed, then the body's message is to store fat. But it also has an impact on our cardiovascular health and our sensitivity to pain and our ability to have a sharp cognitive function and memory and a focus and level of attention. It has an impact on our blood pressure and certainly has an impact on our gut and our immune system. So, you know, when we are stressed and we're so used to reaching for the wrong foods, this will have the impact on the blood sugar. And we're trying to unravel that. And the best way to do that is deep breathing, come back to the basic needs, the deep breath, the hydration, the fat and the protein, because that will help balance out the blood sugars, give the brain what it needs, manage, support the immune system, support the blood pressure. So how do you know whether you've got high or low cortisol and high or low stress? Some of these symptoms may seem familiar. It's interesting, there's a lot of similar symptoms here. Insomnia shows up on both. Low sex drive shows up on both. Poor concentration, depressed mood, fatigue. So, you know, I test hormones, I test the gut to know exactly what's going on. Maybe it can be the cortisol response that's driving your cravings, then you're beating yourself up. So you're in this cycle of stress. So it's interesting to get to the root cause of what's going on with the cortisol. Now, how we can support our cortisol naturally is by not depriving ourselves, not, perhaps for some people, not starving ourselves, not fasting for too long, but eating really well 3 meals a day, having good fat, good protein, 8 a.m., maybe having a healthy snack around 9 a.m. if you're feeling a little bit hungry, maybe, reaching for an apple instead of a digestive biscuit. Having a really decent lunch where we've got fat and protein at every meal, having a good salad and a serve of oily fish, very good for the hormones. Again, if you're feeling hungry at 3, that you reach for some blueberries or some kiwi fruit, very good for the digestive system, or some stewed apple. And then again, at dinner time, having healthy fat and healthy protein. This is the way we nourish ourselves to help balance that stress cycle, to help support better sleep, to help support better hormones. We're making better choices over time. We're going to feel less likely to want to fuel our body with chocolate, crisps, cake, chips, that sort of thing, because that is not giving us out what our body needs. So some of these amazing foods, green tea, the L-theanine in green tea, an amino acid building block, very good for reducing cortisol levels. Your citrus fruits, particularly grapefruit and lemon, fantastic. Your oily fish, I really encourage you, unless you're vegan, to have 3 to 4 portions of oily fish a week. So, so good for balancing out the omega-3s, which is so good for giving your brain what it needs, the essential fatty acids, the DHA, because when we are reaching for synthetic prostaglandin foods, when we're reaching for tobacco, alcohol, chocolate, caffeine, refined sugar, the body is tricked momentarily into thinking that that is what it needs, but the body doesn't need that. So the body is not satisfied. So it's always going to reach for more. So be aware that, if you fuel your body very differently with oily fats, good antioxidants, good high vitamin C foods, good glutamine foods that support that amino acid production in the liver, protein and fat at every meal is going to fuel your body very differently. Certainly foods to boost your progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that helps you feel calm, that helps you sleep well. So having a good range of beans that have been pre-soaked or nuts that have been pre-soaked is exactly what your body needs. Having a good range of cruciferous vegetables. I say to all my clients, 2 portions of cruciferous vegetables a day. So your broccoli, your cabbage, your kale, your cauliflower, they are your new best friend. So having broccoli for breakfast is a sure way to help balance out that energy level and those cravings that you have at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or those cravings that you have at 8 o'clock at night. I love combining my protocols with essential oils. They are wonderfully supportive, the beautiful power of plants where they can be used aromatically and topically to help get to the root cause of the feelings, like that lack of nourishment or trauma that has happened to you as a child needs to be addressed and needs to have a voice. So we support all of the chakras with beautiful essential oils that gives us a voice to those feelings. So when we feel our feelings, we're able to let them go. They don't have that same power over us. So I really encourage you, if that resonates with you, to reach out to me, because there are some beautifully supportive oils that can help with cravings, that can help lower your cortisol, that can help support your gut healing, that are powerful ways of anchoring and breaking that cycle of self-sabotage. Enzymes are really important. You know, after the age of 40, ladies, we make less enzymes. If we've had stress, we make less enzymes. Enzymes are such an important part of digestion. And if we are low in digestive enzymes, it's one of the things that I test, then we're losing that ability to absorb those essential nutrients from our food. And if we're not absorbing those nutrients, we're always going to feel depleted and undernourished. So I really encourage you to slow your eating down, slow your chewing down, and allow that essential link in that digestive process to happen. Because when you slow everything down, you know, we are rushing women, we are rushing, you're rushing here, rushing there, rushing to eat our food, rushing to quickly clean up after finishing a meal. Just allow that time to digest. The longer that you allow the time to digest, the slower that you eat, the fuller you will feel, the more nourished you will be. So think about adding in digestive enzymes. If you don't already have digestive enzymes in your diet, then that as a supplement is like a health insurance plan. So reach out to me if you would like to know the range of digestive enzymes that I suggest. Okay, so sleep is fundamental to healing. We need to rest and repair in order to have energy, in order to have balanced hormones, in order to repair the gut lining. This happens when we sleep, in order to repair the immune system. So that is vital to making sure you're focusing on good night's sleep. I know that everything can come undone. I had sleep deprivation with my second son for 3 years. It nearly tore my marriage apart. And I know that I was living on toast and sugar, chocolate, toast and chocolate, and feeling so depleted and exhausted. And I know that, you know, all I had to do in that time was nourish myself well. And I realized in the first few months after he was born that I'd forgotten about my smoothies, forgotten about my juices, and was just having toast and chocolate. I was so exhausted. Yet when I took the time to add back in the smoothies and the juices and the gentle walk, I really started to feel very different. I felt that shift in energy. So I had that ability to get up and go. Now, adding in cinnamon. Cinnamon is an amazing herb that can be added into your smoothies, sprinkled on your sweet potato. It's excellent for balancing blood sugar, and it really helps with, you know, that lowering of the cortisol. So if you are eating the wrong things at a certain time of the day, if you can fuel your body very differently with fat and protein and add in a little bit of cinnamon earlier in the day, that can help. And certain supplements can also help with, you know, things like magnesium, alpha lipoic acid, vitamin D, zinc, the adaptogens, you know, your ashwagandha, reishi, rhodiola, cordyceps, your medicinal mushrooms can also be very, very good for balancing blood sugar. And making sure you're not snacking too close to bedtime. You know, when we're meant to be sleeping, we're sleeping, we're not digesting food. So allow that time for the liver to turn back the glucose during the night, to rest and repair, the digestive system to rest and repair. So, you know, if you change one thing as a result of listening to me today, then think about late night snacking. It's not serving you. And, you know, really make sure you're adequately hydrated, make sure you're having fat and protein earlier in the day so you can break that habit of late night snacking. Make sure you're including some prebiotic and probiotic foods in your diet. Your prebiotic foods include green bananas, cooked and cooled potatoes, very good for the gut, leeks, onions, garlics, artichokes, asparagus. 2 kiwi fruit a day can be great for the gut lining. Pistachios, almonds, live yogurt, wild blueberries, colorful, a big range of colorful fruit and veg. You know, really aim for 30 different varieties of fruit and veg and herbs and seeds and nuts a week. And then add in the, you know, the probiotics to help support the good gut lining, to help support the immune health, will fuel your body very differently. So, you know, eating like this, you will feel so different. Taking the time to soak some seeds and eat a good range of healthy fats and proteins will be fueling your body very differently. And you will reduce the inflammation. You will feel great. You'll have more energy. You'll sleep better. You'll have better nutrient absorption. You will decrease food allergies. I'm living proof of that. You will have better digestion. And in better digestion, you will digest everything that life has to offer. And you will be able to regulate your body weight, and you will have better moods. So think about daily rituals. You may, if you're new to juicing, reach out to me. I've got a free ebook that you can download. Think about your Sunday ritual or your Saturday ritual, and you've got a little bit more time. Maybe you can batch make some juices and smoothies to nourish your body very differently. Add in some essential oils, add in a lemon elixir, hydrate your body in a very different way. So please, if you are struggling, reach out and book a call with me. You can do that on my website, trishtackermay.com. I would love to help you get to the root cause, or the many root causes of why you are feeling the way you are, why you are self-sabotaging, and a quick little checklist for you, to do some gentle techniques each day. Oil pulling and tongue scraping, very easy to do, takes 2 minutes in the morning to help with the oral microbiome. Have lemon in your water. Have a little pinch of cayenne pepper in your water, a little bit of cinnamon in your smoothie. Create some affirmations around your goals. I am worthy. I am good enough. I am so happy and grateful that I love nourishing myself. Think about probiotics and digestive enzymes. Think about adding in fermented foods, amazing for the gut, for the hormones. Limit sugar, caffeine, and booze. They are not serving you. They are synthetic prostaglandins. They're tricking your brain momentarily, making you think that you're getting what you need. You're not. Therefore, you are depleted, and you are not nourished, and you are reaching for the wrong things. And you've got that reinforced message everywhere you go: service stations, shopping centers, supermarkets, all of that food masquerading as food that is lying to you. All those companies that are lying to you, that has made your brain even lie to you, that you think you're getting what you want and what you need, and you are not. What you need is oxygen. You need hydration. You need connection. You do not need all the pretty crinkly packages, all that refined carbohydrates, refined salt, refined sugar. It's not real food. Think about herbal teas instead of coffee. Think about soaking your nuts and thinking about walnuts, Brazil nuts, almonds, cashews. Lovely. Take some breaks, take some breath breaks, and eat slowly and chew your food well. So there we go. Please get in touch. I'll put some links in the comments, and thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching on replay, please hashtag replay. I'd love to get to know you and support you. And I'm being called to run another 8-week program before the summer. So if it's, if it resonates with you, if you'd like to take the time to nourish, to cleanse, to learn about these amazing cleanse techniques, to learn about the 7 pillars of healing, and to really go deep to nourish yourself in a very different way, then please reach out to me. And I'll be around to answer some questions. So pop some questions. If you're watching over the weekend, I'll pop back in a couple of times and make sure that I've answered your questions, or reach out to me personally. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a wonderful day and a happy Easter.